कालका कालका million power million universe's honor Kalka. Your power works here. Yes, your power works here. Good morning. Namaskar. Assalamu alaikum. Subal khair. This is Engineer Suraj Singh speaking to you from Bharat, India. Identity better to be shown to you before moving further. That is professional requirement. Who I am, because I am not celebrity. People do not know me very well. So it is better to introduce a very small person from Bharat, ordinary common citizen of having certain engineering education and engineering profile, which is being shared with you for reference. It's better to be clear first, and then we have to see what to talk, what not to talk, and what is required, what not required. Professional talk, general talk, public talk, personal talk, all talks, projects, concrete management, civil construction, COVID-19, etc., 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 all are here in being presented to you, dear friends. Again, good morning everybody. Namaskar sabhi ko. Introduction you have taken, personal introduction, and this talk is in continuation to previous talks. Nothing very indifferent, and title being this date of today, that is Monday, January 18th, 2021, civil field engineering, number 1 it is, and then general about this, designs, construction, organizations, communications, coordination, quantities, project quantities, why should we behind quality of concrete as standard material and concrete standard works, and etc., etc. All topics cannot be covered, but this is general talk, and general talk is always very important to understand specific talks, because it is civil engineering building practice. Civil engineering building practice title can be anything, but we are talking buildings and structures. We are talking engineering, and we are talking here. We are concerned with profession. We are concerned with something that in past was often not debated, not conferred with, but it is necessary in life at some point that we have to be wary about that. We have to worry about that, and if we have little concern about that issue, I think it's better. In past, I discussed with you, shared with you contracts, FEDEC, concrete specifications, various general procedures, what should be done and what should not be done. I see various videos on YouTube regarding construction engineering, civil engineering. Of course, very small videos with young engineers, and I like that. At least what they say, that is different, but they have started some new chapter in life. Public should be given information about right or wrong activities on buildings, and that is better. Means if you have got medium like YouTube or like Facebook or whatever, where you are not going to spend lot to share information with people of world, particularly people in our country Bharat, India, well, I think nothing better than that, because people got no access to engineering in general, and only engineering persons and engineering professionals who work in field, they learn little and they try to share with communities because they see what is being done in field, what's being carried out by those who are not involved in engineering, but they claim that they know everything. They cause mistakes on sites, forget documents because they do not use documents. Every document they know. So there are so many issues which are of course very interesting and very useful in life. We should know what is incorrect and how it can be corrected. That is very important. थोड़ा हिंदी में भी बोल देता हूँ बीच बीच में, अच्छा लगेगा नहीं लगेगा आई डोंट नो. अरेबिक में पूरा नहीं बोल पाऊँगा. यानी आज मैंने आपसे जो बात करनी है कंटिन्यूएशन में कर रहा हूँ इंजीनियरिंग के बारे में. इंजीनियरिंग क्या है, कैसे समझें, शक्तियाँ क्या है इंजीनियरिंग की, लाइफ में संघर्ष क्या है इंजीनियरिंग का, और क्या इंजीनियरिंग वही है जो हम समझते हैं या इंजीनियरिंग कुछ और भी है. सच्चाई क्या है, झूठ क्या है, सही क्या है, गलत क्या है, ये सब जानना जरूरी है. इसलिए पहले भी मैंने कुछ बातें की थी आपसे, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स के बारे में, फिडिक के बारे में, प्रोसीजर्स के बारे में, सेफ्टी के बारे में, वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह. नाउ यू कैन सी URLs ऑन टेक्स्ट ऑफ दिस वीडियो. You will find when you go to see more and all that, a long list of URLs is available. URLs related to past videos. These are miscellaneous, means these include general, these include national, these include the COVID, and these include whatever else. Means it's not separate chapter of profession, it's all mixed up URLs, and you can see and you can benefit if you wish so. Maybe I am not very good speaker, I'm not very good engineer probably, but whatever I have in mind, I try to link it to you so that you can easily share that one. Share information if you have time. Means some videos are very lengthy while others are very very short. Some videos regarding, I generally don't write all the URLs in that because this is only management URLs. I have a long list of videos. I don't know how to communicate that with you. That list cannot be shared on any website. I usually prepare videos and keep record of those videos, smaller or bigger, and this should be at least for my record. And I put sometimes on some like script.com I can put there, or like that I can put wherever I get a chance to put in, to post in, and then somewhere I give URL of that. Just the introduction I'm giving what I do. It's nothing to do with, question is, if I do not communicate to you, I do not give clarity, I do not give clarification, it's not easy for you or for whoever is there. And particularly those people who are engineers, or maybe not very high profile, but who directly deal on works. It's very important for them if they know what is best or what is right or what is not right. Because very high profile people rarely go to site. They keep busy in work, organizational management, or in designs or in policies. Very rarely, maybe 5% of their time they consume on site or they invest on site. So that time is not very very useful for project. Just think and agree and keep in mind that site work, though it's not considered very high profile work, but I think it is highest profile work. Rather than saying high profile, it is highest profile work, because without site work all back preparations are useless. If site work is not excellent, it doesn't meet requirements of specifications or designs or good industrial practice, I can assure that all efforts made by past records or past history of that project do go waste. If not all, to at least half or 50%, or I say 20%, or complete waste. It depends on those professionals and frontline crew of workers who work for that project or whatever project, how far, how many percentage of requirements they have capacity to meet, your project deliveries come accordingly. If they are efficient and committed people, they learn well, they work well, they listen to, they understand, of course, practically. I say not theoretically. If practicality of activities they understand, they can carry out job in compliance to requirements. And when I say requirements, it's requirements of everything: design requirement, specifications requirement, codes requirement, practice requirement, project requirement, all requirements. Whatever I have not mentioned, that unmentioned also included. I don't want to speak a lot, but unnecessarily there is no meaning. But if you think something is to be taught, it must be taught in interest of industry, in interest of project, in interest of quality, in interest of safety, and on top of that, in interest of society. Economy, when we talk, economy has many sections, and this is very important sections of projects. Projects do relate to economy directly as well as indirectly. Civil engineering construction projects cost a lot in terms of economical investment. It is understood that 50 to 70% of general budgets of whole world are allotted to development works, and most of them pertain to civil engineering or construction sector. When we take GDP into our consideration, there are 8 or 9 points: construction, real estate, etc., mining, manufacturing, all are included in that, and construction and real estate are very important sectors. These sectors generate employment, which is part of very significant economy, and these sectors provide housings and buildings and factories and industries to society of whole world. So this sector is, you can say, a firm solid. This fact cannot be denied. If somebody denies this fact, you deny yourself. अर्थव्यवस्था निर्भर करती है डेवलपमेंट पे, आपके देश के सेक्टर्स पे जो जीडीपी में काउंट होते हैं, जिसमें मकान बनाना, फैक्ट्री बनाना, इंडस्ट्री बनाना, डेवलपमेंट करना, ये सब सेक्टर जो हैं बहुत पैसा खाते हैं. आधे से ज़्यादा 70% के पैसा खा जाते हैं, और वो पैसा सही जाना चाहिए लेकिन जाता नहीं है. उसके बहुत सारे कारण हो सकते हैं. क्वालिटी एक बहुत बड़ा कारण है. हेरा फेरी की बात मैं यहाँ नहीं करूँगा क्योंकि मुझे उससे कोई मतलब नहीं है, लेकिन जहाँ तक एक इंजीनियर की हैसियत से मैं बात कर रहा हूँ, क्वालिटी एक बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है. क्वालिटी और क्वांटिटी एंड क्वालिटी मस्ट मूव टुगेदर. दे मस्ट सिट ऑन सेम पेज. क्वांटिटी एंड क्वालिटी. When we say quantity means a lot. All projects are based on quantities and estimates are based on quantities. You can say times required to complete a project are based on quantities. Magnitude of a project is measured in terms of quantities. So quantities means not only amount or you can say magnitude of works, but also percentage of quality imparted to that item or work are very important. One should say quantity is ahead of quality, or quality is ahead of quantity, or I should say quality and quantity must move together. If you say best answer. I don't say you give over quality, but I don't also expect under quality or substandard work. If you are paying for plastic, you cannot get gold. That is also true. If you are paying for gold, you cannot get diamond. That's also true. So I am not saying you give me too much value, but give me real value. If money goes to some work, that work must match money power. Of course, profit margins are acceptable. Nobody says no. But what is real is real. You cannot double your margin or treble your margin than required, than expected, or than permissible. So I can say it's very important that if you want to improve profession, you have to first improve learning. Learning doesn't mean university learning or degree or diploma learning. Learning means conduct in field, your commitment in field, your value in field, and your acceptance in field. Some good people are not accepted. It is also true. Those people who are professionals, who believe in honesty, sincerity, and commitment, they are generally rejected by those who do not believe in all these. Unfortunately, all industries are run by those people who, in general, I cannot say everyone, who in general are not professionals. They may be professionals of non-engineering field, but not engineering field. For them, quality doesn't mean much. This fact also cannot be denied. A person, one who becomes a business person, or you can say industrialist. Industrialists may have some regard to quality, but as far as business person is concerned, regard of quality is not on that person's mind. That person's mind says how much profit I would make out of this. We have to keep always in our mind that for whom we are working, that is owner of this industry or this business. He has top interest to promote business and to make money out of that business to maximum possible extent. You cannot change this definition. This is not defined anywhere, but this is practically done. Your business person will be very honest, but when profit issue comes in, he becomes emotionless and he wants to make more and more profit. And this doesn't apply only in this country, it applies all over the world. Those who have too much, they want more too much. Tolerance and patience and earning limits are not defined. Money is such a power. As much as you get, more and more you want to get. Here, quality remains behind, far behind, if you have no professional mind. But if you say, no, I am a professional and my organization is professional, in that case, you would work according to demanded requirement. That is where difference lies in. This means those people who are industrialists or who are involved in such activities which develop your nation, they must have different kind of mindset. But that is very limited, it is not general. So we have to consider these points very plainly and very, you can say, religiously. If you find people who are good in ownership, who can promote ownership keeping in view every aspect of profession and then move ahead, I respect those. But if you say no, only my destiny is making money, whether or not you get quality, those people cannot survive in current scenario. I am not saying competition. Competition had always been there. I am saying your conscious, your certification, your own valuation, your own statement, how good you are. It's not self-recommendation, it is self-declaration. Quality system says first you be satisfied with your system. If you are satisfied with your system, you can satisfy others because you have to demonstrate. Satisfaction doesn't mean verbal statement or written declaration of policy, quality policy. It is demonstration of project, production quality, delivery quality, and performance quality. Even if your product is very good, you say, you claim, and public accept it, yet it has to perform, and if it does not perform, your value statement becomes useless or less valued. There have been many cases in past regarding automobile industry that millions of cars were withdrawn post delivery. Why were withdrawn? Because they did not meet standards and fake certificates were issued by those manufacturers. This is very risky, believe me. Means they were misled or they themselves had intentions. I don't believe that they themselves had intentions. There would be some error in procedures. Who want to spend money for useless activity? But this happens. Well, my time that is for you. It's not for talking aside or in astray. I just try to give some background of what should be done in engineering profession. I have good wishes for all those who want to participate in talks, not only in this talk, in other talks as well, that usually I try to find on YouTube's or others, just like Excel sheet learning or computer learning or English learning, or you can say, yesterday I was watching 10 ways, 10 rules how to check how to avoid mistakes on sites, and also some still checking rules. Well, it's good, means even though it may not be that much professionally stated, but something is given to public in a very normal form, weighs more than, because public wants to see with those young people who are engineers, who have good knowledge, they can explain in their own language to their people. I think that works much better than what I'm talking about. I'm talking generally in English. I know that English is not language of whole world and it's not even language of my country, but that's not point here. I consider English also as our language. When I was born, when I studied engineering, I studied schooling, means in your whole life you spend a lot of time in learning some language. You cannot simply condemn because it doesn't belong to my country. You see, language is language. I'm now a Bharatvasi, I am Indian. I say no, I don't want to use English just because it's not my language. How can I prove Hindi is my language? How can I say, oh, this is my language? Language is language in which you can move, you can work, and people should not take into otherwise. Means when I work in Arab countries, I wanted to know that it's better if I could speak Arabic or write Arabic, but it didn't work because I used to work on documents in fields everywhere where either my country people were available or Far East people were available or British were available or those country people, Middle East people were available, Africans were available. I could not use either. I used English or my country, or you can say I could use Arabic, or you can say their own languages. So actually language is not an issue when you globalize yourself, and practically speaking everybody is to some extent globalized. When you are using internet, when you use Facebook, you use Twitter, you use YouTube, you cannot confine yourself to one nation or one language. When you are laughing or smiling, what language it is, just think of. Your eyes impressions, what language are they? So do not be so confined to language. I respect all languages because languages are languages. There is no you can say patent on language. It is history, it is our requirement. And English which we use, actually that is not also real English. That is English that we learned our way. British learned their way, Americans learn their way. So think do not keep your mind so narrow about language. Some people say, oh no, you always write English or always speak in English. We are in Hindi area. Okay, my dear friends, you are in Hindi area. It doesn't make a difference. Hindi, English is also Hindi. There are so many words in English that come from Hindi. Do you know that? So I am not going to details of that, but there are so many words in dictionary which only migrate from Hindi or Sanskrit to English. There are so many words of Tamil that go to English. There are so many words from Latin America, from France, from Italian literatures that go to English. So English which we use is actually not truth English. It is, you can say, a malign English. It's different kind of English. Issue is not English or Hindi or Sanskrit. Issue is how best you can communicate. And I'm sure that everybody, you may not be having degree in English, but you to some extent understand. I'm not speaking very difficult sentences. I'm speaking very normal sentences. Yes, sometimes my speed is faster. I apologize for that, because people cannot understand everything all time. But it's not in my control also. So when mind works very fast, automatically words are poured in from mind and tongue very fast. So that is natural. When you speak your own language, you speak very fast. But when you, because you are used to speak about that, those sentences which you use in your own language, these are nothing newly generated sentences. You might have used 5,000 times in your life. So you speak too rapidly, and that is where difference lies in. If English people speak very fast, we do not understand anything what they spoke. That's also true. We know English, we know translation, we know grammar, we know vocabulary, everything. But when they speak, we do not understand. And sometimes they speak such words which you think, oh, this is dirty word. This he should not have spoken. But meaning which that person had in mind was completely different. That is where lies. No, it's cultural difference. Cultural thinking. They are born in a culture which you do not understand. You are born in a culture they don't understand. But there is no clash. Same thing applies in engineering. No clash. Only destination is quality and quantity with given technology. My designs say, when I say general and designs, what do you mean by design? You can ask a question. Ready-made garment is designed, shirt is designed, pant is designed, skin touch is designed, every cloth is designed. Then they claim it, this is designer suit, this is designer's shirt, designer's pant, like a skin touch. I am just giving an example. Means they try to go into more and more depth of how to make cloth. How to make cloth, that is right. Means they try to improve it. When I wear my pant of my time, like we used to wear bell bottom and after that loose pants, and like that we used to wear. Now they call them baggy. No, your pant is baggy, I can convert it to design. Some tailor wrote to some president, I don't know which country president was, some European president. He was old mind like me, means you can say obsolete mind, and say using ordinary pant with loose volume of this, loose surface of this. Oh, you are president, your pant is baggy, I can do a free design, I can convert it to a designer's pant. I was really surprised. What a change in life. Our pajama, our trouser, what is that? Our pants, what are that? Loose. They want what? They want this should touch your skin. This means they want to just stitch or design and produce your clothes according to your profile of legs, nothing else. Profile of legs. This means quality factor in clothing has come from freely cladding or free cladding to skin touch cladding in engineering language. It's called engineering touch in. You mean just like you want to pick some wall lining on some structure, this lining must be fixed to either wall or whatever surface profile it is, and you can say it is in 3D or three dimensional. I don't know actually. It happens in many buildings all around. So we already know that. You are talking of pant and cloth and skin touch. We always touch skin of building and we call it envelope. So for an engineer, cloth is not important. What I wear my clothes and what my cap is, what my shirt is, and all that, this is different. It's nothing. My job is to think by mind, not to show to people that I am a showroom. I am not a showroom. Yes, I should have decent dressing. That's it. When I sit in society, it should look that I'm a gentleman, and I'm not more inclined towards designing of clothes, but toward designs of structure. I have to think of design of structure, not ready-made garment or stitchable garments. That's a difference. I am a tailor of engineering design. You can say I am a tailor or master of tailoring of engineering designs. And what are engineering designs? That's another point. Because I am going forward by civil engineering, then designs in general says I had to design something, means which is going to be built, and when I design something, it's not simply that I have to think theoretically or mechanism wise. I have to think many issues, means whole life cycle of that work, whole life cycle. Because whatever I design, it doesn't finish in few months or in few years. It works for many decades, centuries sometimes. That point must be made clear to myself by me and to everybody, and communication must also go to the client or user or owner of that proposed building, and to everybody who is a stakeholder in that. There should be a charter of project, and that charter should clearly mention what is intention on this project. Maybe you are not very clear about charter. Charter means a description of requirements and description of rights, description of duties. All these means which define everything that's not seen but that is expected to work or that works. Means a kind of written rights, duties and privileges. A document, or you can say a record, that tells what is meaning of this project, what is meaning, or what is, you can say, philosophy behind this or feasibility behind this, and what is value of this project, how we expect this project to work in future or to survive or to stay, and this may be life of this project, and on which what sort of designs we have to use. So that design simply doesn't stand a design, but design should incorporate into economies, complete economies of its construction, when project status goes on, and economies of its maintenance and also whole maintenance, and when it stays for many decades, how much deterioration is accepted or wear and tear is accepted, and how it should be recovered or retrofitted. All these points must be included while you contemplate on designs. It's not simply that I'm finding some stresses, some forces, and we design structural elements. It's not simply that. That's only for learning purpose. When we learn in engineering, we have to do like that, but while applying that in field, that is not an exclusive consideration. That is one of many considerations. We have to think different way, in a long way, visionary way. Means this project may stay for 100 years. In 100 years, how much atmospheric forces would impact on this, how much adverse impacts would come on this, and how to recover it from that adverse loss or hysteresis loss, and how to make it further better economically, so that in whole life cycle, what it gives to us and what we give to it, there should be a kind of balance no imbalance is required. So design is different because no material retains same properties forever. Today we use that material, maybe after few years this start changing its properties marginally, and gradually it may decay also, and it may become harmful, and in some cases it may become stronger as well. So both chances are there. That's why design is not simply design, it imports many considerations. It doesn't mean that you just link it to code and something. You should have your own procedures defined. Design doesn't stop you from cursing those professors. Design only forces you that you comply with requirements of codes, requirements of design formulas, requirements of what is industrially acceptable practice. Otherwise procedure is your defined. You have to define your you can say scope, your expectations, your procedures, and that is very much part of design, because you have to make your design in such a way that what is intended out of that design, what owner expects out of the design, and what all stakeholders expect out of the design, all those are met, in all those requirements are met, and these are called requirements. Requirements means owners requirement, stakeholders requirement, process requirement, public requirement, benefits requirement, commercial requirement, and whatever you can put on in writing or in tacit understanding, all these requirements must be simultaneously considered. Some may miss, some may not miss, some may vary, some may not vary. It doesn't matter as far as in totality we get those into our controls. So this is philosophy of design is entirely different. It doesn't mean what you think it should be same, or what you imagined, or what owner imagined, or what others imagine. Result should be same. It doesn't matter if it's not same, but performance is significant. It is considered very significant. If you perform, you find performance is fine, I get it. That is more important rather than beating about bushes. Design have many sections. Generally in those structures where elevations are required, good elevations, or you can see your visionary elevations, plans, or directions, or in some cases you can say geographical controls, or you can say vistas issues, and also if you take it otherwise also vastu, though it's not, but let us consider that also. What's wrong with that? All these are to be considered together, and not that you cannot add to that. You can add to that whatever you wish, or you can delete from your consideration whatever you wish. But ultimately all wishes, all points cannot be analytically seen at end, because project is yours. Performance is performance. Intention for this project is done. That intention should be achieved. That is more important. If you get this point done, then it's good design. When we say design, means it should be implemented also. Keep that in mind. Or you can say design should be done in a way that it is a construction-able design, or constructable design, or buildable design. When I say construction-able design, or constructable design, or buildable design, this means that it should be moving smoothly during construction process. During its project status process, there should be no major difficulty in doing activities. People who are involved in that, crew that is involved in that, should do it comfortably in professional way. There is no hardship that should be given to people, because more and more hardship if you give to people, more and more quality percentages, there are chances you may lose. We don't lose anything. We don't lose anything in quality. So quantity must also be given ease of working. You can say ease of working of activity is best way that it can be controlled professionally. Control is very important. So that professional control which is required at time of implementation or prosecution of activities must be taken care at time of design of activities. Activities are not designed, whole structure is designed, structural members are designed, competition is designed, buildability is understood, it is kept in mind, in process, and we have to clearly understand what we are doing is right or it is not right. That is major point. Designs, see, design formula, design equations, design calculations, that is different. That is detailed design, working design. But now I am talking of designing in scheme, a design that is schematic, a design where we do not go into details of calculations, but we think what we want to see, what we want to get into our eyes, and what we want to produce on site in you can say consonance with existing structures, if so they are there, or if your work is completely green, in that case what shall you like to see other structures to come in future and to match with that. Though it's difficult, but when you design something, say oil projects, there's nothing as such you can do in that way, because these are chemical projects, these are chemical processing plants, so there is something different. I'm talking entirely something which public has consideration. In chemical plants, safety is more important, and these are away from habitation area. So you cannot say habitation area, there's no residents around except temporary residents of staff. You can't consider residents also, or those staff which is going to maintain that, that's also distant from that actual process area. So their considerations are completely different. But when we say public life is counted or considered into our designs, it is altogether having different weight. Once you decide about designs, you may call it architectural production, you may call it whatever way, means what you want to do, and it's also not necessary that you get same. There may be some variations which are for better design, which are for better acceptance. This point in designs is very important. If you expect something and some professional gives you 10% more than that or 20% more than that, everybody shall accept. What's wrong with that? In same cost, if you are getting some better product, it is better or you lose that value. You would say it's better to get that product. That's fine, that's all, very good. Now, we have, see, in principle we have designed something, and this is what I'm talking of, principle design, or you can say philosophical design, where I think a team is not required, one or two persons are required who can say that we have to do this. Yes, they may define something, how it can be done, procedure can be defined, design procedures can be defined, and this can be linked to after that to codes and learning. What do we expect, what is accepted, all this. And this is actually, we can say, this is a stage when we can say that at this stage we understand what this project would be. We must define in ourselves to ourselves what we want to do, because first stage that we have to accept by self. I am designing this. Do I accept myself? That is also a point. If I accept myself or my team colleague accepts, we both accepts, or we more than two accept, then we can represent ourselves to that owner and then to those stakeholders who are going to take liability of this project. So actually their acceptance is final, not my acceptance or my colleagues' acceptance, the team acceptance. We work only professionally with, of course, keeping input of economy and commerce, but they are oriented commercially and economically. So they have 100% basics thoughts of economical considerations and commercial considerations, but we don't have that much. We are professionals and we have to think professionally, and that is what is expected of every professional. And then we say design. Once we fix, we agree that this is what we are going to do, actually then work starts. Work means not of site work, work of design starts. This was only pre-design work. I was talking of something pre-design work. Design then comes into play, role of structural engineers, role of architects, role of services engineers, and role of many others like you can say agricultural engineer or landscape engineer, you can say, and many other roles which take a lot of time, keeping lot of time in line to size of project or magnitude or dimension of project, and they are from design, and that part is very much technical, very much innovative, because and very much research based, operational research based. There are hundreds of assumptions and some assumptions, and you can say hundreds of procedures or structures that are kept in mind, and this involves architectural designing work, structural designing work, services input. All these we take into our mind, and how many buildings are there in that project, what road structure is there, whatever components of that project demand, we have to keep in our mind and do on that, in also a way that we should not just confuse issue or give very complex details, because very complex details do also cost more. So it is very good if you give easiest details, easiest design, so it may look very simple, but design may not be simple. Work should be simple, but I should say site activity should be simple. A life of site people, life of those who work on that field, those whoever they report to, whoever they get paid by, that work should be made as much easy as possible, so that time is not wasted on useless activities. That's very important point of at time of designs. And design professional must have talent to think like that. If you always think that I'm just interested in saving cost, and you just make project very complicated, then you are not going to save cost or time. You are going to lose on cost and lose on time, and that's also very important point of design. So design engineer has to keep in mind that design engineer is not alone in field. There are so many other professionals who work based on designer's instruction, and that point must be kept in mind. It's not bad means you may say I always talk like this. Yes, I always talk like this because it has. I have seen many designers who are youth, who are young, who do not understand all this, and they only know theories and softwares and codes, and they do not come out of that complexity which is not in favor. Say practice of engineering is variant, I can say. It varies. Within definitions it varies. What is our aim? Our aim is, our goal is a good project. I'm saying good only, I'm not saying excellent or outstanding or better. Because even if it is good, it is excellent, Good means what? Good means it should be according to requirement first of all. it should be economical, and it should be durable. It should be giving, you know, it should be giving performance in expected line. Good doesn't mean if you go to good, better, best. No, I did not mean by good. Good means a kind of permanence, a shape of permanence. You leave some job and you don't come back to that job forever. So that is also called for good. If I work somewhere, for example, I used to work in foreign countries or in Gulf countries, I used to see notifications in many newspapers from many companies that this person is leaving us for good. If you have any question about him, you can call us. That good I am talking. Where good is end of everything, it doesn't involve better, it doesn't involve best. That good means you do not exist there after that. So I am talking of that good which is potentially higher in consideration in your scaling. It is much higher than what we can think. Engineering profession involves this understanding, but we forget that. Engineering doesn't mean only theory and calculations. That is one part of engineering. Engineering also involves humanity, human nature, human requirement, use of materials. Use of materials is basics of engineering. Because if materials are not available, what engineering shall do? So material is very significant part of engineering, and material is natural. No material is artificial, frankly speaking. In construction engineering, in civil engineering, or you can say in structural engineering, whatever materials we consume or we use permanently on project, that is natural in general. People are there, they are not products, but they are also natural. Machines are manufactured, but those manufacturing items also are natural. Iron, steel, plastics, or whatever. We have different kind of understanding. Design, this is also part of design. What material we are going to use, what technology we are adopting to design that, all these constitute process of design. Of course, the materials are standard one, design materials are standard. We have established everywhere that what we have to use for this case and for this case and for this case. Immense procedures are available. And we can simply say, okay, I use this material in design. I use RCC or I use PSC or a structural steel or use this and that. Because these are already defined. But even then, requirement exists. And that philosophy, that requirement, that you can say a kind of understanding should move all time. Because every material has its own word. You can think of RCC, you can think of pre-stressed concrete, you can think of structural steel, or you can think of whatever else you want to do, brickwork, stonework, whatever. Every material part has widened scope of its knowledge, its attraction. Mostly all over world, mostly two metals are generally used in construction, in buildings and structures, and these are RCC oblique, you can say PSC. I take together both RCC and pre-stressed concrete, RCC reinforced cement concrete, and structural steel. For heavy construction, or if I do not use heavy word, I can say for normal construction, because heavy construction can confuse you. So there's some difference between this construction, that construction. I'm talking of normal erection, and heavy erection is where too much quantity of material is used. Example are industrial projects where thick foundations are employed, things are included, thick walls of tanks are included, like LNG tank. You can say 800 mm thick wall is sometimes used, or you can say such rafts are constructed, or you can say heavy, you can say structural designs of nuclear reactors, or you can say major pipe sleepers of big dia pipe or trunk pipes where heavy or high quantity of metals are used. Those are heavy structures or heavy engineering elements. But here, when we are talking of normal structures, we cannot say that those are heavy, but those are delicate and thin material, thin items, thin elements. When you are talking of something like that, let us say framing of a building. Framing, as I explained to you before, it's combination of foundations and all columns and all beams and all slabs. That is, in one way we sum up all this and assume that all these items, all in this building, are connected together in three dimensions, vertically, horizontally, and in plan. All these are connected, cannot disconnect them, theoretically, practically. There may be hundreds joints in one structure. There may be many hundred joints in one structure. All are connected together, and that is called monolithic production. Though practically it is not 100% monolithic, but keeping not time gap, means time gap is very limited between one construction element and other construction element. There can be a gap of few days only or few weeks. So we can say there is no major gap, and we make it in a way that construction joint is produced and new construction is connected to old construction, which is not very old but few weeks old. So because it has not gained its full strength so far, and augmentation of strength is also not started, we can assume that okay, 90% it is monolithic, or 95%, or whatever percentage it is. As far as process of curing goes on, and process of all protection of this material is done, and that's why I say it's not heavy, but it is a practically very complicated theory based material, and it still it's gaining a strength. Its chemical processes are working, in that state they work. So we can say, let us assume this monolithic construction. Assumption is monolithic, but when you pour concrete, for example, you pour concrete in a slab along with many beams on that and many neck of columns, so at least that portion which is poured same time is monolithic, and columns are poured in many cases separately. So of course columns in itself are monolithic, but there is a connection between column monolith and slab monolith, slab beam monolith. There's some difference, but we think when we make good construction joint, it works. So that is understanding only. Practically, physically, it's not exactly monolithic. This point people have to understand, and this is very important point when designer designs, because that designer has a duty to think how this work shall be implemented, how this work shall be prosecuted on site, and that point must be kept in mind. And it's better if all these are described somewhere on designs for convenience of those new people who join in supervision, or they do not know exactly what intention designer had in mind. Though it doesn't make a difference if you write few lines, or you can prepare one drawing sheet that gives general procedures, not exactly application procedures, but general procedures. We can say like general standards drawing. We can say there are so many standard drawing on this project. They repeat this when you get such kind of section or detail or joint. Use this detail, and somewhere else you use this detail. We see many standard details on every project, and which is, you can say, saving time, saving repetition of details, and That's better one. If you say this is this situation, you use this. If this situation is there, use this. Like that they describe. In this situation, you can take care of. So that is what I'm saying, construction ability. If my team finds it's easy to work, they speed up their rapid because they save. First of all, they have to do complicated work. I've seen that. Suppose I fix size of column, and it's no, I don't want 3 mm width, I want 27.5 or 275 mm or 273 mm or 2. That is foolishness. You have to think about those who deal with that. Your designing element size should be comfortable and easy. Comfortable means do not squeeze it that much that you cannot vibrate that column properly. Vibration says that I need a nozzle, I need a pipe, and I need an equipment that's called vibrator. And that nozzle with pipe should go down in column perfectly. You should not disturb. Your reinforcement should allow that portion of nozzle to go in down. That is what to be considered. Oh no, I would use only 250 mm wide column. And when you use 250 mm wide column, which is not actually column, but okay, you think that is a column, you have to see how much space is available inside, how many rings are there, how many steel bars are there many layers or only one layer, and how many in middle bars are there. Shall I have enough space for that person who operates on your vibrator would be conveniently doing it? That's the point of basic consideration. If you increase size of column, I mean to say section of column, or some other element also, means you are going to increase some quantity of concrete in RCC, but you would save otherwise quantity of steel as well to some extent. So you are not going to lose something monetarily. Monetarily you are not going to use something, you are going to do something to get something. And that's very important point we have to think of always. Moreover, we have to make design in such a way that it does not go into difficult details or complex details. Simplest details are best way to design a building. If I say no, I want to keep different size of all these columns in every coordination, every coordinate or address of that column, just like we say this is X A B C D and this 1 2 3 4 like this, or this A B C D down and horizontally 1 2 3, whatever way you grill out your design, your plan, you have to see that first of all symmetry is maintained in both ways, x-axis and y-axis, and whatever vertically you go, always it is believed, it is expected, or it is assumed that axial or axis of columns are maintained, axis of all beams etc. are maintained, and we do a design so that repetition of formwork is maintained, time is saved. So time, ease of working, and then you can say related cost and qualities are integrated into your design. Do not go for very minute calculations at that stage. You can assume sizes of columns according to your understanding of that project, according to how these column sizes would behave. We respond to earthquake forces or to wind forces or to their own direct and bending forces. That is very important point that must be taken care of, which generally is neglected. Design is not only of columns and beams, this is overall design. I mean to say complete framing design. There may be 10-story buildings, say, there may be 20-story building or there may be 3-story building, everything is same. It doesn't make major difference as far as design is concerned, because continuity of forces, transmission, continuity of everything is very important. That must be taken care of. There may be any number of joints in a frame or in a cross frame. Laterally, all joints are joints. There may be, let us say, in a frame, there are, say, 5 columns. 5 columns, say, continuously columns, 5 columns and 10 floors, let us say. When there are 5 columns, when a foundation level itself, 5 joints are there. 5 columns and this is 10 floor, means in one frame there are 10 floors into 5, 50 joints are there. And suppose there are 5 frames, there are 50 into 5, 250 joints are there. So these 250 joints are there, which are joints of beams, columns and slabs. So all these should be continuous. You can count number of, generally they call them nodes, you can count how many nodes are there. Generally we take 3-dimensional calculations, we analyze in 3 dimensions, but if you just think it manually, you can say 2-dimensional analysis can also be done. Well, it's up to you, you have very good software, so you don't find any problem, nodes will be taken care of, all coordinates are taken care of, and we have to think this very seriously, because it is continuity of joints. This means continuity of transmission of forces. Forces means direct forces as well as momental forces, and you can say reactionary forces and deflection forces and horizontal sway forces like wind horizontal movement and seismic acceleration which goes from bottom or from foundations. And like that you can say building is in sway, building is horizontal sway or in 3-dimensional sway, or building is building vibrates and it sinks or whatever. That you have to keep into your mind. So when your building is having so many joints, you'll get complications of construction also. So try to keep, in intellectual way, same size or uniform size of columns or beams, particularly in whole vertical, drawings or vertical mobility. Why? Because we have very simple understanding that center of gravity of loads and center of gravity of your planar size, it's better to be same. This is very genuinely explainable and understandable point, that center of gravity of all loads at all levels and center of gravity of your planar area should be preferably same. Yes, there can be some variations which creates torsion in building. Remember, if you do not try to maintain line of center of gravity of loads and line of center of gravity of your planar area at every floor, you will find that torsion is generated, and that torsion is very dangerous, because torsion means moment forces, bending moment forces, and that requires additional strength, additional provisions in designs and reinforcement requirement. And if it is direct and it is on CGs meet together, planar CGs and low, you can say 4 CGs, I think that's the most better situation every designer likes. But it depends, means symmetry is required, symmetry of your plan is required, but symmetry doesn't exist, means certainly these CGs can never be in the same line. There will be gap or distance between both CGs, and that distance will give a couple of forces to building, and that you have to make more provisions in that case, more addition to design requirement, or you have to calculate more and more. So preference is always given to ease of working, and that is the working of ease of building moment. More torsion means more deflection in vertical as well as horizontal direction. More deflection means sway, and this means movement of building, because this is not one time movement, this is a continuous movement for minutes together. When there is a high wind blow, always building shrinks like this or vibrates like this, and same way if there's a fire or there's some other reason, there are so many ways that we can consider what we have to do. That part is very important. So design is also not that easy. You have to keep in mind best construction practices, how best we can construct something, and that is where design involves your presence of mind and your if you have experience of site, experience of construction, I think you can do better design than a person who has no experience at all. Design, it doesn't mean just theory and just decision of column sizes, beam sizes and all that. It's not that alone. Design involves, you must have knowledge of everything. Like you must have knowledge of soil engineering, you must have knowledge of foundation engineering, you must have knowledge of analytical approach towards framing in both directions, and then so many things like how to construct that. Time schedule means can this design be so easy that it doesn't waste time, and as much as minimum coordination is achieved is best way. Maximum coordination leads to waste of time, waste of energy, waste of person who works on those drawings. If coordination requirement is not fulfilled, and at design time you don't coordinate, then why should you coordinate? You have to coordinate on erection time, and then if you find errors or some clashes, that person will certainly not be able to design itself, or that person shall write to designer, and designer has to answer. If there is some clash among various drawings or some deficiency in drawings, it's duty of designer to make sure that everything is resolved. That's very important part. So do not think whatever is you have seen is right or not. It's still, after doing a lot of work on that, means there are chances we lose so many things. We have to keep so many things in mind when we design something, and that design is activities of sites. What site says, how site people shall work, what are their roles. Means I'm not saying that you go into depth of that, but at least you should know what site guys will do, how they conduct, how they work. That is also a very important point, because they have to work. I'm just wearing my shoes because I am feeling lazy without wearing, or I stretch my legs first. So those activities which site people perform, it's better that designers know that. I have talked it many times, but even then it's better to at least understand. Let us say what I can say that let us say what it is. For example, planning. What is planning? Though it's not designer's job, but its input is very important. Then we have to understand details of those planning, and then you can say bills of quantity, that is one part. Then you can say specifications. Now all these with designs you have these documents, and these shall be clubbed into or packed into bid documents or tender documents. Then you have requirement of contractors. So this is what means I will say certain points. If I go into detail, I have to go into detail also. Then only we can understand something. For example, this is a book I wrote long back. I wrote, and there's some. I'm just giving you list of what I have seen serial number, and it is that first I just speak like this. So classes of planning, explanation of classes, preparation of various bills of quantities, that's called BOQ, preparation of various building specifications, project specifications or general specifications, or you can say converting all these documents to bid documents or tender documents, shortlisting your tenderers or bidders or pre-qualification of bidders. You can say floating tenders, closing scrutiny and negotiations, then bid bond, tender bond, and site handover, commencement of construction, supervision and control by various agencies working in that area or your contract area or your construction area. Coordination and liaison, though it's not directly to design, but you should know that. Contractors, organization, structure, levels, etc. And what about that person who controls this job on behalf of contractor, and that is called contractor's agent. After that, there are so many duties of contractor's agent which also affect your design work, and these are namely dealings such as in organization and at site, and these are elaboration here is that architectural structural coordination, structural mechanical or engineering coordination, electrical mechanical and engineering coordination, reflective ceiling plants requirements in production, structural finishes and electrical coordination, structural plumbing and drainage coordination, and services finishes coordination. External services, external works coordination, and liaison to statutory bodies coordination, and structural coordination. These are something, I'm not going to keep complete list of this because this is a very long list. I'd like to involve somewhere here, if I can, in few minutes. Title of chapters is not enough. What is important is something, and that is where you can say, because I don't want to read everything. I just like to give some activities that are done on site, and we should know them, what these activities are, because I'm not going to deal here with all duties of those people who work on site, because that is not required at this moment. I wanted to see some activities. I forgot where these were. Building activities were mentioned there, and let me see if I can find that out, because that is important than something else. No, it's not that, sorry. Duties I'm not concerned with. I think something is there, general activities in a building. The swimming pool, I'm talking about building, yes, I think some page is torn. This page is torn. Okay, no problem, page is torn. We speak ourselves just by thinking, it's better, it's the thinking. Well, no problem, this is that book, and I use this for my career writing. It's not that I learned from this, but I wrote this, long back, not now. I wrote it, I think, somewhere in 92. I wrote it in 90s, you can say 92 to 95, 94. I consumed 2 years or 3 or 4 years in this at that time, when there were no computers in practice. There were no computers except some high frame computers, you can say, big computers, nothing to do with public level computers. Those days, where DOS was important, and DOS, which is a disk operation system, that was more important than something else. No Windows was seen, nothing, and that time I'm talking. That was different time, not time like today. Today everything is computerized, and without computer no imagination is done. You see, even imagination is done by computer sometimes, in some cases, because computer has been so advanced that they don't want to waste time in even writing. You see, it's unfortunate though, but it is a fact that our people do not want to write, because they select where you use computers, and no even sign signatures are not done, because everything is computerized. So writing power is diminished. You ask these days someone to write something, you will not find that someone can write something. It's unfortunate, but it is a fact. People have lost practice of writing. They can speak something, but that is also not matchable, because writing and speaking are linked together. Writing and speaking are in same stream. If you can speak, then you can speak only either you have read that somewhere or you have written somewhere many times. Well, when you are an engineer, and you use some formula every time, you remember that formula. For example, area of a circle, it's nothing very important for an engineer, because everybody knows what is area of a circle. When you find, if somebody says, okay, what's weight of this steel bar per meter, then for common man it may be something very different. But if an engineer can say, oh, I don't know, every engineer can, even without sitting or without opening some book, can say, okay, pi r square is this, pi r square is sectional area of this, and I can find, just if I means, for example, 10 mm dia, or you can say 20 mm dia. These are very common, where we say pi d square by 4, or 10 mm is pi d square by 4 it is. So is already 10 mm. So you don't worry about 10 mm. Is pi d is 1 is 1, and so pi d square over 4, I can say pi, 3 approximately, also you can do 3.1 or 3 point something, d square is 10 over 2. So immediately, so this is how many square centimeter it is, and I multiply by 0.78, so you can give an answer that this is meter per meter weight of this bar. So that's what I say. It depends on you how many times you use something, or some formula, or you can say some theorem. Examples, there are so many formulas we remember, even we don't even go back to see. For example, bending moment formula of simply supported beam or fixed beam, something is which we tabulated there in handbooks, and we do not go to calculate all time. You say, okay, this is, we use some WL square 8, WL square 12, WL square 24, WL square over 2, W or 5 WL की 4th हुआ 384 EI, and like that. There are so many hundreds of formula, which if you even don't remember, you can immediately see book and say, oh, it's available here. So you just apply that and get it done. That's what I say. If you practice something times and agains, if you practice something many times, then it's your same way as 2 plus 2 equal to 4, and you do not go to claim that again and again, because it already exists. 2 plus 2 equal to 4, and there is no one who can prove that 2 plus 2 equal to 5. So when I meet kids, I always say, do you know tables? And these kids, they claim. You see, this is also a fact where we used to claim. Everybody claims. When I was a student, too young, we did not understand what does it mean, because it's, after all, that's what a student life is. Means you can't understand what you are learning, but you are memorizing. So actually, that is memorizing word, but that memorizing word is used in future. You put in your memory 2 into 2 equal to 4. That doesn't go out from your mind. 10 into 8 is 80. 12 into 8 is 96. That is here in mind, because you always remembered in your memory sequence of whole table, but it is stored somewhere. Counting, if you sleep, you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up to 100,000, even if you're not sleeping, because that is already there in your mind. Why I'm trying to say, same thing in engineering basics. Basics are everybody's baby. Every engineer, whether he's a brilliant one or not brilliant, but if he got certificate of engineering, either diploma or degree, he got something at least, if not 100%, 35%, 40%, and remaining can be achieved in field. That's why pass mark is acceptable. Otherwise, it's okay, get 100 of 100, I'll not allow you to get certificate. They know that if you understand 35, 40%, because you are baby engineer, more than this we don't expect you, or you'll say you're better if you got 50 understanding, we'll get you better distinct, same understanding. So that way evaluation is made. It doesn't mean that you can't know more than that. When you work in field, when you go to field, you see calculations are required, calculations and estimations are required. So estimation is also calculation. So calculation expert you should be. In my time, we used to manually do everything, and we had the feet system, FPS, foot pound system, and we had to convert all feet and inches into decimals to find, because it was very difficult directly to calculate. So that was also a time. But engineering it is. So that is why I say designer has to keep in mind all these points. Design is not very simple world, it is very complicated world, because on design depends upon how this work shall be done. If design does not exist, then you can't do work. That's also important. People say, don't worry, we'll design. But no, it's not. What happens with me many times, I just give an example. Well, I'm not very successful professional, to be very frank. My practice is dead, I can say, because I'm not dishonest. And certain people have it that they think that we can construct everything. It's not my one experience, it's my many experiences. My colleagues, my friends, and those who are not my friends, my neighbors, and also those who were known, they always want some drawing. I don't understand their mind. I don't know why they are not serious or they don't want to spend money. They just want some drawing. Because everybody works on a plot, house making is done on a plot, and plot has some fixed sizes. They say, I have a plot of this size, I want to construct my house, just help me. Okay, what will help me? When you talk to them, you ask them what about soil, what about foundation work, how you construct the structure. They are not interested in all that. It doesn't happen me once, it happens many times. You can take person from Kerala, you can take person from Tamil Nadu, you can take person from Punjab, you can take person from Delhi, or from wherever you will find a non-professional person, or you can say non-engineer person. That person only says, just I am interested, you give me size, how I design locations of, or you can say plan of that plot. Rest they will do. Means they think plan is very important, structure is not very important. This is public understanding. Public believes that structure can be done by masons. Structure can be done by steel fixer. Structure can be done by those who are experienced in this field. They do not expect, they do not like that they have to search for a structural engineer. I'm not talking of big projects, I'm talking of public projects where people are involved directly. This is my personal experience, that if you can give them a line diagram or develop diagram, how setting rooms be done, how setting of all facilities in that plot be done, they are very happy with that. If you give them keeping your mind in, they go and say, okay, fine, that's what I wanted. This, they call it in general terms 4 lines. Just give me 4 lines. I could not understand in beginning what is this 4 line. But when people say, 4 line de do bhai, hum kar lenge apne aap. 4 line, 4 lines. Well, I was very impressed with that. Means you may draw any number of lines, that is a 4 line to banayenge yaar. Itne paise hote hain yaar. Well, I'm not asking for money. I don't take any money from those of my people. But when I say you have to think of a structure, you have to see your site. Why I can show you what I can tell you. This is size only. This is one building. This is the building. Design it. For them, foundation is meaningless. For them, soil power is meaningless. Soil bearing is meaningless. For them, all we know it. We do it. They can do it. One engineer, not engineer actually, not civil engineer, some other engineer, he was with me in Abu Dhabi, Royce, and he wanted me to make a plan for him. I said, you just make a plan, Mr. Suraj. We have experts who can build it. He was highly, you people are so expert that you can do everything. Your people, yes. We have experts, they can make it. I don't know which expertise is that. Believe me, till today, I could not understand what does that expertise mean. What is that expertise? If I give you a line plan, architectural plan of ground floor, first floor, second floor, I give you line plan only, and your experts can implement that. Even without my giving you even location of columns, just architectural line work I give you, your people can do that. Well, it is really surprising. People are so courageous in such buildings that they do not even think of risks. It doesn't matter from which part of this country you are thinking of building is same. Experts they are without having any training, because they have constructed many buildings and they know everything. Well, I wish them all good luck, because I don't want to defame or degrade them. At least something they do, they have experience of construction, and whatever good or bad that is, they want to, you can say, copy that to somewhere else. It's really very interesting, really. I have many such experiences which I can beautifully share with people, that this is state of construction in our country. And generally in small projects, you can say it is very much operative on smaller projects, or you can say you cannot call them in projects, you can call them just private constructions. Yes, if you go to bigger projects, major projects, you will not see same thing there. But for example, if you want to make a house of some 200 square feet or square meter, square meter, and 100 square meter and 35 square meter, like that. For a common man, either first requirement is, say, I am not going to use this house, I am going to rent this house, or somebody will say, I will just invest money on this, I want to invest money on this, and then dispose of. Means they are just interested in just making money on that, without keeping in mind that this can be dangerous for those occupants who would be at that time occupying this. They don't care for that. Nobody cares for that. This means objective of house in general is not to live, but to commercialize, to sell it, or to allow people to rent it, or to stay there as tenants. So that's basics behind construction, particularly in our great nation. And it goes on like that. It goes on. And structural power, structural organization that every plot expects, every building expects, that has been thrashed out somewhere. I have seen many buildings where, well, it is deficiency, also professional deficiency, because unfortunately architects who deal with such projects, they also do not care for structure in many cases, because they have seen many projects, they have done many projects, they just want to copy same design onto, or little variation onto all those projects they go through, where there is no restriction of regulations. This happens generally, unfortunate it is, but it happens. I have seen many cases. So when these people come to me, I'm not saying these owners, small owners, say I have 32 square feet plot, I have 50 square, 320 square foot plot, whatever, means 20 by this by that. And if I start talking about structure, means they think that I am some alien. Oh, no, we'll do that, don't worry about this. So it's same comments from Delhi guy, comments from Tamil guys, and comments for Kerala. I did many planning for Kerala person, for Tamil Nadu person, for Bihar person, for so many persons. Some of them, of course, are engineers, but those who do not know anything about civil engineering, they too also say, okay, you just give me plan and I will do it, no problem. That is built-in status of thinking. Well, it is wrong, but you cannot tell whole population it is wrong. You have only those who come to you, you can advise them, and if you don't care what to do, you regret it. Design environment is different. Many cases happen with me. I can't explain to you everyone. Of one of my known, he came to me once very good known, very good family known person. Of course, there was he came to me once and said, of course, old guy, means around 60 or more, 65 years. He was interested to get one building done for him in Delhi, NCR, and his Gurgaon. He came to me that I have this drawing, it's approved by authority, an architect did it. I paid him money, 1,25,000, and this is drawing. Now I don't want to use that architect for my building, and there's some dispute because that architect says give me 75,000 rupees or 80,000 rupees for structural designs. When I ask him give me Sariya ka detail, I mean to say RCC details. Sariya means reinforcing bar. In Hindi we call it Sariya, reinforcing bar, to whom people call steel rod. Actually it is reinforcing bar. In short we call it rebar, R-E-B-A-R, and people call it Sariya, S-A-R-I-Y-A. So I said okay, I understood what he said. You are civil engineer, you are my friend, you are known to me. Then I thought this person is asking that much, I use you, you help me. I say okay, I will help you, don't worry about that. I will not charge anything. You know me, and we are like family. Like family. Okay, this is drawing. I saw that drawing, read it. Oh, you are going to provide lift in this? Yes, I am going to provide lift in this. All right, good. Then he says, now you do whatever you want in this. I'm not going to meet that architect again because I have cleared him. Well, I did not say anything on this point, it's your baby, but when I raised certain questions to him, though he had left at time, but when I saw complete details and asked him, when he was sitting with me, I asked him about lift particularly, he said, yes, I'm going to provide one lift, I'm old man, I can't try. Okay, that's no problem, you provide one lift or two, it doesn't matter, but did you talk to some lift manufacturer? And then he said, why are you asking this question? No, I'm this question that in this drawing there are some dimensions given to lift. I want to make sure that is it coordinated one or no? What do you mean by that? I mean to say lift shall go and fit in, and there must be a gap around that lift car. That is coordination. Size of lift, space around for its guides, and walls given in that for that. I just want to know it fits in or this is just provisionally have given. He said, no, I have not talked to any lift manufacturer and I don't know. So if you have talked, give me that coordination detail, I will talk. Otherwise, tell me which lift you are going to use so that I can talk to that manufacturer. So he was annoyed with this. Means I came to get your help and I cannot do all that. Okay, you don't do. Give me detail. Give me which you lift Otis you want or whichever else you want. I'll talk to that manufacturer. He didn't like it then. So see, staircase in this design is incorrect. Their floor heights are different in basement and in first floor. And you see, stair is same. How it's possible? You see, I don't know all this. Now you have to do your way. Then I ask him, what about you? Show me your site. I want to see soil. But because my contract is working, means see, your contractor is working. That is different. But I want to know how this soil behaves or what is soil investigation. Then also he said, okay, I'll take you to site sometime. Then I asked him about this is area where it is zone 4 of seismic, and he said, yes, I am taking care of seismic. You see, he was so smart a guy, without being having any engineering background, he knows how to what way you are. No, this my contractor, he's expert one. Okay, your contractor is expert, that's fine, but what did he do about this and what you are doing? He said, no, he says, I will put some layer of sand below foundations and it shall take care of earthquake. My God, such people are there. It's your house. You don't want to listen, and you are employing someone who says that fill some soil below foundations and it shall take care of that. Who told you this? No, that person told me. Who is that person? My contractor. See, if I talk to him, you talk to that much, he will run away. Such an impression has been caused that you do not question anyone. Who is he? Oh, he came from Saudi Arabia. He has done many buildings. What is his qualification? He said he's electrician, electrical person. Oh my God. You are hiring someone who is electrical person for building construction? Oh my God. What sort of people you are? No, he has done many buildings. Okay. You agree with this? That if we use sand below foundations, it will take care of earthquake. Now you tell me, what should I do as an engineer? Public knows very well what to do. Then I started working on those. The guy laughed, and then I coordinated with him, sent many questions, and he was upset. He said, I'll take you to site, and he never came to me to take me to site. And then he was angry with me. You are causing problems to me. I came to you for help, and you are giving me tension. My contract shall run away. He is worried about contractor shall run away. He says, okay, I don't want zero defect building. That is his final conclusion. Well, I don't understand meaning of what is zero defect building. I don't understand meaning of that. I know what does it mean, but I have never seen any building which is zero defect building in my life. Every building has some deficiency. You cannot say this building is perfect. No building is perfect. Even there are some things left somewhere, and that is called within tolerance. So you cannot say it is zero defect building. But our definition is that I don't want zero defect buildings. There are thousands of houses staying, thousands of houses available in that area, and if something happens, if those fall, those collapse, my house shall also collapse. This is what engineering level in this country. It's not first experience and it's not last experience. I tell you, this happens with me very much. One person came. He just this person is engineer. He came to me. He was constructing some factory. Came to me. He started excavation. Came to me. I know you are here. I am living behind your home. This is drying. You see how it is? I saw a red dust drying. What is that? Simply ask one question after viewing foundation of that. This Baba Adam ki drawing, Baba Adam, it generally is some kind of phrase we use. Baba Adam, which is obsolete actually. Something which is obsolete, we call it Baba Adam, means very old trend. Who did this? This architect did this. No, I don't accept this. This is different now. Not like this. This is not practice now. There was footing and trapeze, tapered one like this. Who does this nowadays? They just taper without anything. What do you? Just shutters on four sides and taper like this. They don't know what is tapering. They don't understand meaning of tapering. They don't understand how to build that, but they do it. This is our country. I'm not saying other countries do not do that. Maybe same public there in private areas where no controls are on construction. Our people are expert, so their people may also be expert. Our people are expert everywhere. You just give them drawing, they will do it. Don't worry about anything else. They know soil engineering, they know construction engineering, they know design engineering, they know every engineering. There is no need of learning anything, they know everything. Sometimes, this is actually you have to study public also, psychology of public. You know, if they don't want to give you something, if you, they may be 0.5% or 1% or 2% of construction cost, they don't want to give you, they may give to architect, because architect has to make drawing which they cannot make. But you have to make some drawings which their mason can make. Their carpenter can, they know everything about, oh, what should be size of beam, what should be size of column, what should be thickness of slab, how much they know everything. Oh, 16 dia, 12 dia, 20 dia, they would just do it. But on lines, how to set size of room and this, they cannot do it, because that is drawing. They don't know how to draw, but once they know what is to be done, they can do it. Structure is nothing. Oh, I have done it. No problem. Something comes down, I'll put one more column. If there's something, okay, I put one more girder there. No problem. I have seen many houses area in some area. Balconies are sagging, put another column, circular. Oh, decoration one. You know, if some balcony is sagging, put some circular column below that and decorate it. Finish. It didn't come out. Beauty of engineering. Really, people play with engineering. You can't stop them. This is their house. You can't stop them. They do not understand anything, but they understand everything. They do not know anything, but they understand everything. They solve their problems too. And sometimes I laugh on saying something that balconies in houses. Yeah, just now somebody made one house, constructed one house here besides my house, and this person did not come to me. Maybe he didn't know me then. Now saw that his 6-foot balcony, 1.8 meter balcony, and he at cantilever end he put some construction wall of pillar column, and then it's already it is cantilever. It's already in danger zone, and they put another column on that end to support upper cantilever. To support upper one, they put on cantilever lower one another column. What a beauty. Prop, you can say. It is propped cantilever on below cantilever. This is support cantilever. So what stupidity we have. People do not understand consequences of that. What they say, oh, see, it is working. I put it last year, still is working. How can you answer them that it's wrong? Oh no, you are only interested in expenses on structure. See, beauty is adding beauty to your elevation. This additional support adds to beauty to elevation. They are more interested, more inclined to get beauty on a wrong work itself. Beauty on the wrong work. My neighbor, he constructed same balcony, and it didn't work. He tried to set down. He put 3 circular columns below, architectural columns, and it is working. So believe me, sometimes I enjoy like this, though I don't get job, but I enjoy how people react to engineering. For them, structure is not required, it's useless. And when something happens, they say structural engineers are not available. We don't know who they are, and they charge a lot. I don't know what structural engineers charge. Really, I don't know. So sometimes I enjoy that building has a science. Buildings have backing of engineering calculations. Structure science is available, structural engineering available, analysis are available, but we do not want to use anything because we are very smart community. I'm not talking of organized projects, I'm talking of real projects in life. If projects are organized, well, fine, there's no problem, but problem is another one. If you build something wrongly, without complying with requirements, there is no remedy for that. And there's no one case, many cases are there, many cases. And these are, interesting cases. I think I remember one case. Well, I'll tell you some other time. I'm talking of designs, and designs are very important for every structure. It may be one room, or it may be a group of rooms, or it may be 10 story, or it may be 1 story, or it may be small building. Whatsoever. Design is very important. To understand soil is very important. You cannot imagine something until you have experience of that, or you have constructed many buildings in that area. How shall soil behave? Because every soil is having different compositions. If you analyze soil, you will not find even soil here and soil there are same. At a distance of say 1 meter, there can be some change in texture of soil, or in, you can see, soil structure itself is different. I am not saying that you should go into details of soil all time for every building, but at least something you should know. How does this soil behave? One of my colleagues, being architect, he told someone that this soil is very good for building. If you tell some owner, they'll say, okay, if architect is saying this must be very good. When I talk to him, I say, how do you say this is good? See, this says how strong it is. Clay soil. When there is no water in that, this looks very good. But when there's water in that, shall it look same? He didn't understand that. It's not his fault. How can I say it's fault? It's fault of training. I told someone clay is very good for agricultural product. It's very good, but not for building products. We require firm ground, very firm ground, for siting a building. Building has to stay permanently, without sinking, without settlement, without upheaval, without inclining, or without a kind of overturning. Retaining wall or buildings or other structures are to be considered accordingly. It's not my requirement, it is professional requirement. You are happy to spend millions of rupees on something you do not know design of, and something that you do not want someone else to speak for you. That's also another problem. Designs are completely different world, and I would say to designers also, do not just think that you are a designer because you are ME or you are PhD. ME and PhD can give you structural input, but they cannot give you building input, they cannot give you understanding input, psychological input. What shall building do? How shall it behave? What can you think about? That is to be understood. What long theories say, don't worry about that. That is calculation. That is for a certainty that what work is done, what assumptions are made, what drawings or what sizes have been adopted, or what we have taken as thicknesses and sizes. They have nothing to do with understanding of building. Detailing is at last. First is what I want to do, that should be clear. That is what it's all about. If you know what you have to do, then you can design that. That's not a problem. If you assume size 300 wide or a 325 or 350 wide, that is your choice. How best you can say. because philosophical requirement is there, engineering philosophical requirement, like within tolerances this should be size of column, within tolerances this should be size of beam, and size of overclothing of that, I mean to say overfinishes of that. This is also true that you can say, how can I do building? I don't know anything about building. Yes, you cannot do anything, and you have to take services from someone, and that's the only way. But whether or not the servant who is coming to you is a professional, you do not know. Professional doesn't mean that you should have professional certification, but psychology, professional psychology, and that is very important. Professional certification, not that's one point, but professional performance is another point, which depends on professionalism. How much mind you have that has developed to professionalism, or you have only ordinary mind and you are just learning, and then can you be guarantee to work in such way? That's another line. Designs has very wide scope. We cannot simply finish in one talk, and I cannot explain everything to you item wise. I can simply say design is design. Design, when you do, you are instructing site people, you have to do this. Simple. It is technical instruction, it is real instruction. So your design should be competent one, consistent one. Person who is going to implement your design, he should be happy with that. Happy doesn't mean by smiling or laughing, but by mind understanding, yes, this can do. That happiness is more important rather than your detailing or not detailing. Sometimes they don't like your design, but they have to follow. They are bound to follow. If owner says no, you have to follow, they have to follow, because it's question of profession and money. But sometimes they find problems in implementation and prosecution of that design. Your sizes are so inconvenient to them, and your design, though it is designed, but there is no coordinated approach with other disciplines, then that design is defeated, or it wastes time of site, and it does not serve purpose for which it was done. That is another part, another important requirement. If site person is not given confidence by design, that site, though you think the site person doesn't, he goes through all tryings, because it is responsibility of site person, it's responsibility to do it. And when you say do it, means it is 100% accomplishment. And if there's a problem in that, that person calls you or writes to you for some query, and maybe you are not there at that time, someone is there, and even if you are there, you have to answer it, and this takes time. Every decision cannot take 2 or 3 days. It is very circle. This point we have to be very clear about. If we sleep like this on designs, our design should say tacitly, silently, you have to do this. This is way to do this. I have seen people, they do not know how to cutting is one part, they cut steel, but how to place that in that drawing is not so clear, and they do not know how to place them. So it takes time, and time is money. Sometimes they don't understand. So do not be too loose on that part. Losing is not accepted. Do not lose that much. Now, I cannot go much in designs, because if I go much deeper into that of analysis, then it will be difficult for you. I just want to say that generally people think that loads are vertical. General thinking is that, oh, 9 inches by 9 inches column it is. See, 25 by 25 column, it is very strong. It will take load. Don't worry about that. This is general people say, ordinary people who do not have knowledge of codes or of designs. For them, only this load is enough. Right there, calculation wise, if you want to find how much load a column can take, you can calculate, that's not big issue. But situation is different. You are taking ideal conditions of a column, that vertical or direct load comes and this load can be resisted by this section size. But that is only on paper. In theory or in field, I'm not saying theory, on field, is it okay? That's the question. When we calculate, our analysis, we do analysis, we find many points that application of direct load is very limited. Though we say direct load is coming on this, it should be this much, but that is very limited, because forces do their job, and it's not simply column we are talking. If you say only column, vertical member, and we apply load on this, that's fine, it can work, but does it happen somewhere? Did you see alone column taking load? Alone column cannot take load. That's also true. That's only for purpose of explanation, for purpose of learning, like ABCD. We teach people that, see, this is direct load W on this column, and this column has to take its load. Same thing for distributions of forces onto framing. So it's very boring part, but you have to understand that one condition is not applicable for everything. There are many conditions, many points that require standing instruction. Construction of design is very difficult. In fact, it's very difficult because one should have confidence first. You are going to construct something and you don't have understanding of designs, what shall you do? I don't want to bore you, because if I bore you, I also feel bored. I also feel drowsy. My understanding is different. My understanding says, if design is good, worth, construction shall be best one. And if design is worst, there shall be no construction, or it shall be worse construction. Do you understand this point? If you can understand this point, you can understand every point. I have to stand for 2 minutes. I am feeling irritation in my leg. Well, dear friends, no problem. We have to be serious in our approach. What we do, how we do, what should be done and what should not be done. All these points must be considered while working in engineering. Engineering is not what we think it is. Engineering is something very different. In a sense, when you do real engineering, you will find many more points. It depends upon your experience, and it depends upon how you think, how can you digest drawings that come to you for implementation. That is issue for construction. Issue for construction and issue for non-construction time are varying complexities. That's where we have to be smart. If we cannot be smart in that, we miss a lot. So design is such. I don't know how to do it. It is such, and we have to behave accordingly. No, let me stand for a while and see how can just to stretch my body. See. I can't stand, you see. That's the problem here. I can't stand. Jam, my legs are jammed. Even then I have to stand because that is my necessity. Just to stretch, lose myself. My legs are tightened. One leg, not two. Okay, move on designs. My personal problem is different. It's not your problem. It's my problem to see how I can adjust. Adjustment is life. I just try to sit on arm of my chair. Just to So design is partly construction, and construction is partly design, you can say. But you won't agree with that. People won't agree with that. I know. Because construction input is very important for design. And design input is a part of construction. Because construction is based on design, I cannot change design to my authority until it is authorized by designer. That is also true. Design is responsibility of designer and site work is responsibility of constructor. Both have to accept each other. But authority comes from designer because site guy cannot change design. But site guy can manipulate in this. Site guy can make it easy for itself. And I have seen even people who changes steel bars without even authorization. That is not acceptable. I have even seen people can play with the structure and hide that and say, no, we did not do anything. They know nobody will investigate. It's not going to happen. But that's all illegal practice. Illegal in a sense, against code and against best practice. Design, whatever is done, has to be implemented. Easy or difficult, that is another point. But implementation of design is mandatory. You cannot say no. You may know better than that, but whatever design you receive as a site implementer, you have to accept that one. Otherwise, you are not doing your job. You may do better design than that. That is another point of view. But this site mandates that this design be done according to this design detail. And you have to do that. And if you don't, that is dangerous situation. Therefore, designer must keep in mind what site guy can think and to what extent site guy can not regard this design. Though under force, that site guy has to do it. We don't want something under force. We want something by goodwill. That point must be understood by designer also. And this point must be understood by site person also. Both have to understand this. It is two-way approach, not one-way approach. Because project work is done by both jointly. It's neither baby of one, it's baby of both. If you can do jointly, I think that's best way. And if you cannot do jointly, that is worst time of that project. Maybe Everybody has self-interest, but that self-interest is not for project. That should be for person, not for project. And I believe that project is important, not self-interest. Just hold on a minute. I was not able to stand due to some reason, so I'm just keeping back in different mode. So my dear friends, you know more than you know what I have to say, that site work is site work and field field work is site field work, and design office work is design office work. Both have their values and both have to be coordinated properly. It is designer's duty to respond to all queries, and it is responsibility of site person to raise questions wherever one feels that this is clashing or this is not clear. It is very much imperative that they should cooperate like that. I know everything is not possible, and that is why tolerances are defined, and tolerances must be within limits. Design is such a part that everybody is a designer. That is also not true. Those who say we know this, they bluff themselves, they do nothing. Because person who knows something, he never claims I know it, they do it. And there are some instances that for some proposals that is not clear in design, or maybe designer did not contemplate that, or there may be some changes on site due to authorization, and we cannot wait from designer that we make some proposal ourselves and send it for approval of designer, and if it is found logical and worth, designer can approve that proposal or that engineering query or that site technical query. Site technical query is very important for everybody, because this technical query means if there was some conflict or there was some misappropriation of design, and whatever misappropriation has come has been observed, that has to be set right, and that's the only way. And it's nothing new, it's a procedure that technical queries are raised by site guys and designer has to answer them. It may be site technical query or it may be engineering query, whatever it is. It's a question of design philosophy. It can be engineering query, or there may be some misunderstanding about design or what design requirement, and you are finding that this requirement, this design is not going to meet, then engineering query can also be raised. So engineering query and site technical query are both queries are generally raised on all sites, though it may be in formal way or informal way, but whatever way, in essay form or in format form, these are raised in letter form, whatever is practiced on that site that I cannot mandate. Actually, it is site technical query that should be a format, and also engineering query that should be a format. These formats constitute records, permanent records for project, that this was question raised and this is answer. I have many such formats. If sometime I have in future, I have chance, opportunity, because I can show you them on screen share, but when I show you the screen share, problem is that it accepts only one format, so no issue. So design word is very different. Design word cannot be discussed in one time talk. We'll keep it discussing. Then we have to, when we talk of designs, we talk of construction also. In construction cannot be confined to some statements. Construction technology, construction world is very wide, and if you are involved in buildings construction, and also particularly reinforced concrete construction, cast in situ, it is itself very wide field, because structural steel, if you do, at least you get material fully developed. You have to assemble only, and foundations of that also RCC. So structural steel also involves RCC. Only benefit is that, and generally on industrial projects you get structural steel construction, and all structural designs, all structural framing, I can say fabrication or production, and all is given to you in detailed form, so that you can just erect those frames directly on those foundations available or constructed by RCC, and put them into those grooves, and later on, or on board plates, whatever we provision, and snug tight them. So structural engineering, structural steel study little. If you see execution wise, it's fast, because work is done, work of producing members, vertical members, horizontal members, means framing members, only framing members without foundations, and I cannot say full member, but without foundations. Those portals can be done. So a little difference is there, and same thing applies to pre-stress concreting work. Means if you have members done in yard, not on site, I mean to say, if you bring them and erect on site, or if you do on site itself, RCC is done first, because when you press test something on site, there should be supporting system of RCC, so that those cables can be carried safely, cables and tendons. So that's what construction is, and construction is major part, that is RCC reinforces cement concrete cast in situ. That is very magnitudic part, important part, significant part we have to be clear about, and that involves thorough knowledge structurally as well as finishes wise, because structure ultimately carry finishes. I have seen many projects in my life, of course not you can say top world projects, but normal projects. I worked in Gulf for many companies in many years. I generally dealt with RCC buildings and also package buildings. You can say buildings like, you can say institutional buildings, for example, you can say shooting range, hospital, school, and many such underground or above ground works, and also buildings, complete buildings. So there is no limit to that. If you do one and you repeat that on someone else, you don't think that you will copy it. Superstructure can be copied, but foundations are to be designed every time. That is reality of construction engineering. You cannot simply say, I did one building here and I repeat this building there. You can repeat superstructure, because superstructure forces are not going to change, but when substructure is concerned, there can be major differences also. It can be either safer or it can be unsafer, both. I mean to say, whatever design you are using for copying, that may be safer for that, or that may be less safer. Both points are to be analyzed and understood. So you cannot copy blindly, yes, except for superstructure, but superstructure can be done only when substructure is done. So your superstructure has to wait for that period. So do not copy anything, because copy also needs some mind. So do not think that you can copy everything. That is not going to happen. It cannot work. Design and site work, construction work are entirely different. In construction on sites, you may be an engineer, you may be supervisor, you may be manager, whatever you are. You have defined and undefined responsibilities. Defined responsibilities can be written, job descriptions can be given, but no job description can be written in complete format, because site works are very different type of examples. Site works can't be defined just in 1 or 2 or 3 sheets of papers, because these depend from time to time. You cannot just name activity or job description. You can say yes, up to some extent major descriptions can be given, major one, not everyone. Major one can be defined, oh, this is, you have to do this, you have to do this, and you have to do this. That's okay. At end they say, this is not only, but something else, if required, shall also be done, to be done that way. You go and see written everywhere. That's why I am concerned. One side we leave you free, you do whatever you want, and on the other side we say, use this new key for your problem, for your unlocking. That is what is very important. And when you do construction, you are involved in construction, it's not simply that you have to supervise, you have to manage also. Management is, you can say, it's easy, but it's voluminous and it has no time limit. In designs you can fix time also, but there's no support on site except you have to arrange yourself everything in your capacity, whatever you are. And activities, materials, resources, equipment, machinery, workers, all these have to come to terms one time. That is also very important. Some people may say, why is talking a lot? Even he talks about COVID, he talks a lot. When he talks about national issues, he talks a lot. And now he's talking about field work, he's talking a lot. If you think I am talking a lot, tell me, is it not worth that I am talking? I will stop talking to you, no problem. I am not inclined to talk to you all time if you think that's waste of time. But till today I did not get any response on anything. That's point means talking or not talking. My job is not talking or talking, that's nothing to do with me. I'm talking to you because I have seen something, that if people are well educated in a sense to understand what work is to be done and not just theory or applied mechanics or something, their structure. Life is not what I think is life. Life is different. Construction is struggling work. And moreover, construction is, not according to your taste. There is some time you have to go to site early morning. Construction invites you to devote, invites you to invest your time, to use your thinking skill for it. That is construction. Just I like to speak on this if I can read for you. Unfortunately, just like I say, something is written in this, and I spoke many times before too, but for example, some duties I would say that what duties are actually, just hold on, give me gap space so that I can see. Actually this is statically, I say now, for example, I am saying here what it's a title here is in my writing, what a contractor's agent is supposed to do. Now, contractor agent, I mean to say person responsible for contracting company on site. You may call it contractor's agent, you may call it contractor's representative, or you may call it works in charge of that project. Now, I wrote in that, let's just read for your reference so that It's not simply gossipism, it is something very required. It says, as designation indicates that person engaged in capacity of agent represent shall represent contractor on project site, shall represent contractor on project site, and must do, that agent must do what a contractor would do. In fact, contractor being a businessman and shall like to make maximum profit and delivering good quality of job expected of contract. Now, agent should not work according to what salary agent draws, but realize value of his successful performance, which shall always be given as a credit in profession. Every eye working for project shall be watching performance of agent, so he has to keep in mind and be careful. Agent should be like a director, namely you can say whatever, administrator, a commander not means army commander, means commander, one who can command on workforce and staff, a guide to his subcontractors, subordinates, project coordinator, site engineers, deputy and sub-agents, general foreman, also engineering wise assistant engineer and other engineers, junior engineers, land surveying engineer or land surveyors and quantity surveyors, and general administrative personnel, and should have capacity to use the such skills if required from time to time. Must have a business mind must have, as in case of contractor does not employ a contractors manager or contracts manager above level of agent, head office also expects that agent to report directly to owner. In that case, agent shall need enough market ideas, then to select subcontractors and suppliers, and then also cumbersome job it is, of course, but very essential. And also you remember, agent may be salaried one or could be a partner in profit, and also it then his own interest how much he can or one can earn. Agent must be energetic, this is physical requirement, dynamic, mental and physical requirement, dynamic physically and mind wise. Dynamic doesn't mean walking, you remember that. Diplomatic, patient, administratively strong, and an excellent coordinator. Corresponding strength he must have, good corresponder, good convincing, a good leader, not political leader, professional leader, a sympathetic person to listen to others, to solve their problems. And see also that Injustice is not done to anyone. To see salaries and other payments are made in time, and to ensure that all safety measures are being adopted to prevent accidents. To see transport being available in time to carry workers to their camps back. To see that they are not sick seriously, and to make sure that sufficient messes, food messes, cafeteria messes exist, drinking water available on all sides as well as in camp, labor camp, or you can call it life camp. I do not want to call labor camp. To allow them leave when due or as requested. To send wage bill to time in time and all other duties expected of an agent to perform. Remember, if persons working on site are not happy, healthy and harmonious working atmosphere would not be built, because labor politics would be outcome, and we do not want workers politics. Also, to keep in mind that good agent is respected by everyone. Just cannot command respect by face all time. Apply face in rare cases, but people be looking, sure by your looking as you can achieve something. There are so many activities after that. I'm not going to talk of, like maintaining site diary, and then some consultants prefer daily job records, daily report submittals, material submittals, shop drawings, working drawings. Like that, there are so many. Weekly program, quarterly program, complete program, and so much is there. I just want to communicate something only. Allocation of percentage to particular activity, monthly progress report, revised program, monthly technical and coordination meeting. Then you can say with client as well as with subcontractors, like meetings and meetings and meetings, and then minutes of meeting after that, you can say. Like this, it moves on in practical way. This is what means you expect that agent should do, and agent has to do. There can be no other way out. Now you have to keep also in mind what documents you must have on site. That's also very important. Your site should have all contract documents. And what I just referred to, I'm not saying that you cannot deviate from that. It says package documents for site. Meeting it is actually not for site. On site you should have all contract documents, and when you go for some meeting, what you should have, that is also very important. I just brief that because this is interesting one. We are going to meet contractually with client. What preparation you must have. This is summary sheet of overall progress of on top, you can say first consideration, first document, then progress report of all individual programs, what progress you achieved. If there are so many buildings, be in individual sheets and place second from top. Then you can say list of workforce and machinery deployments during progress period, and be placed next to second one. Material submittals and delivery schedule according to approved list, and be placed fourth from top. Then list of materials during regular supplies in progress report in the progress period, and be placed then. List of weather conditions during reported period, and then also list of whatever accidents if happen. and valuation to be carried personally, and generally one day before meeting discussed with resident engineers, quantity engineer, and finalized. And also can say minutes of previous meetings should be taken with while joining meeting, as contents of this meeting must be related to contents of previous meeting. So if something means and let us say what should be agenda of that meeting. That's also a very important point. Means we are talking of preparation, but what's the agenda? It's also very brief agenda. I'm just give you for information purpose. It's in book, but just talkatively we can talk something on that. Agreement. Let us start meeting now. How to start meeting? Agreement on recorded meetings of last minute by resident engineer, and before this apology by any received shall be recorded. I am using term resident engineer. I'll explain what is resident engineer. Progress in details of whole project. Progress in details of whole project. Scope in contract under meeting involved, including progress of allied services. And what's that? Yes, progress of allied services. You can say referring to minutes of coordination and technical meeting. Minutes already issued by resident engineer or by yourself and on queries of allied services. When I say allied services, this means all services. Coordinations issues, contractors, agents, and dealing project coordinator for resident engineer shall be supposed to respond due to subcontractors engineer would not be normally present once they have attended technical and coordination meeting. You have all records, you have to respond all. Detailed discussions on material submittals. Material submittals means materials that have been presented for approval or those are outstanding to be approved. Detailed discussions on material submittals, approvals and deliveries, and whatever other related problems on same, and based upon material submittals and delivery schedule already updated or to be updated. Detailed discussions on shop drawings and working drawings in connection with building works, if any or whatever. Quality control on site and remedial measures taken in cases of whatever complaint by resident engineer and quality engineer on site, on supervising engineer and related staff of resident engineer. And whatever alteration, addition or deletion required or requested by contractor or by employer, valuation of works done and extras if claimed by contractor, and payments, remedial measures to control work progress, and other discussions, whatever, and next date, etc. These are very general, these are not all. There are safety issues, quality issues, finance issues, many issues can be considered in the same meeting. There is no bar to that. So I just wanted to share this. There are so many other also. It depends on which time I am talking to you, and we'll see that one. It's not all time mandatory that we talk same thing. Yes, I was talking about resident engineer. I may not miss, so I just want to first finish that. This organizational management on site is also very important point in this. And so we say something and we forget, and it should not be forgotten. Practically speaking, we should think of that all time and do it. So when I say resident engineer, this means it's an organization title. So it's not alone resident engineer. I talk many times, and I know we cannot go to past videos all time by chance, but in principle we should understand what is that. To understand that, we have to talk of certain designations, and that is very important. A triangular organization, first of all, we have to understand what is that triangular organization. You say triangular organization, you may ask, what do you mean by triangle? A triangle means triangle of parties. Parties, I mean to say a triangle of involved parties, and two parties are contractual party and one party is independent party. That point is very, very important to be clear. On every project you have three titles, very important titles, and fourth title is a different type of title. Let us take for three titles which are very important, and that title amounts to very important controls, very important monitoring games, and you can say it affects everything on contract. And first title is employer. Employer you can call, or you can call promoter, or you can call owner. That is number one in a sense, because this party is responsible for all ins and outs on that project, financially, commercially, or you can say all otherwise. That is employer. Then employer cannot work alone. That's also true, because employer is responsible for financing and also responsible for all future liabilities. That may be plus or that may be minus, gains or losses. Because employer has decided for some project, for that purpose, because employer himself or self is not professional or engineering professional, you can say, that person requires services of such a professional who is engineer. So that employer, by whatever method, I'm not going to do that way, which method or not, by whatever method, decides to appoint one engineer. For that project. Employer decides one engineer by whatever method, and that engineer shall work on behalf of employer, though independent it is, but on behalf of employer, because employer finances everything. And this engineer works on behalf of employer as advisor first. Advisor means to advise about budget, to advise about project, and also project designer. Project supervisor. Supervisor means to supervise design, do design, and supervise contractors' work, which contractor employer has to approve based on engineer's recommendations. And then, contractor. Contractor doesn't mean if I say contractor, it's over. There's a due process. There's long queue of election or selection or approval, and that contractor is appointed as such in capacity of construction contractor, or would be EPC contractor, depends. Both way. So this triangle, three terms: employer, engineer, and contractor. Now contractor is very important on this triangle from viewpoint of doing job practically. This is very important assignment and very responsible assignment, because it involves cost first and then other sources or resources. Cost that is agreed for construction project, that is agreed between employer and contractor. In this case, employer is party number one, that is employing party, and contractor is party number 2, that is work doing party. Work doing party. This is one part of this story. Engineer is there on this project but not as a party on a contract that is going to exist between employer and contractors. Employer and contractor are parties on that construction contract. Employer is party 1 and contractor is party 2. Engineer has recommended that contractor, it is different because contractor is professional engineer engineer is professional representative of employer and contractor has to work professionally to control all activities done by contractor and approve them and recommend payment for them. Engineer has to supervise all activities before payment and make sure that whatever done on site conforms to contract requirements. That role to supervise all activities, to ensure this comply or conform to requirements and to recommend payments till project is completed. This role is called resident engineer role if engineer delegates its responsibility to some other person because engineer has no time for this project. This position of supervision, controls and all for good on site. For good on site, or you can say workplace. This role is called resident engineer or engineer's representative. Both. That is very smart point. You should know how to understand various professional working relations. This contractor is not poor. He has done many projects. Therefore, he has power of signing in. This representative position is very important practically. Very important. Because whatever work is done on site shall be under authority of Now, resident engineer we know and employer we know. Employer is employer. If employer is engineer, okay, fine, that's good, but employer here is financer. Employer has one interest that he should get best return of this money. And job of contractor is to do all requirements complete according to all contract documents. That is another part of this. It looks very easy, very simple in statement, but it's not easy in working. In working, it is time consuming, money consuming, risk consuming, and so much. Risky it is. That point also we have to understand. Very much risky it is. But risks always exist everywhere. You cannot avoid risk. And risks are there, that's why you make money. And if you do not want to take any risk, you can't do anything. So contractor is contractor here. He has entered into an agreement with employer, that is owner. That agreement is called construction contract agreement. Construction contract agreement between contractor and employer. That is number one. Then you ask, where is engineer, how he is linked, is he only paid or he is salaried? Not necessary. That is what I stress, not necessary. Engineer is different, very different. Can you give me 5 minutes? I'll just go and see what to do with this because I just want to see if I keep this here, my certificate. Just 2-3 minutes, please. Excuse me, I'll be back within 2-3 minutes. First, I have to pass my urine, and then I have to go for food of thought for. I think not this one. It will not work like this. Let me see the other one. Let me keep this here. Okay, I'll keep this here. Okay, I'll just be back in a few minutes. Sorry, gentlemen. Give me a gap. I just want to walk a little. Also, see, my legs cannot walk. Oh my god. It's touching my legs. I'm coming. I'm sorry, I missed 3 minutes on you because of some problem which is essential to be solved, and that is here. I'm back to you. I'm back to you, dear friends. I had to feed some food to crows, birds. That is daily activity, and here I am back. Sorry for that. Don't mind it. It happens. It happens. It's life that you have to do all this. All right, guys. It happens. So what I was talking to you, it was about what positions these are. Engineer and contractor. These positions are very responsible one, all these three, but there are two contracts on these possible locations, the positions, and these are that resident engineer is a member of engineer group, engineer team, that is, resident engineer is a group of engineers team. You can say a delegated responsibility of engineer goes to resident engineer. Means resident engineer has to work on behalf of engineer, but in delegated authority where financial decisions cannot be made by resident engineer. There are two contracts on these three positions. Contract number one, that is contract that exists between employer and engineer, and that is called, you can say, management contract, or you can say design contract, or whatever you can say, service contract also. Sometimes people call it that this is service contract, means engineering services contract. I can call it management contract also, because engineer manages all these services. Employer pays to engineer. It may be in fees form or it may be in salaried form. That depends. Means whatever work engineer does, employer pays on this services contract or otherwise. But engineer has to do engineer's job along with team. All expenses either paid from fee paid to engineer to its team, or employer directly pays agreed salaries to everybody and expenses to all facilities whatever engineer enjoys, or whatever contract says. Employer is liable to meet all those expenses for engineering services, and that is, you can say, a kind of services contract or management contract. Then there is other contract which is construction contract or EPC, and let us see construction contract, and this exists between employer and contractor. Employer pays to contractor as consideration lump sum amount or other agreed system, and contractor performs or works on site and delivers all contract requirements, and this is called construction contract. If it is exclusively construction contract, when all designs are provided by employer appointed engineer. Contractor's job is to produce that work physically on site in conformance with all contract documents. That is first thing. According to FIDIC, this is called Red Book contract, construction contract, and if it is EPC, it is called silver book contract. And if services contract is there, white book you can say. We'll talk of later on. I not even completed red book and silver book. Long back we talked on red book long back, and I think you might not have been in continuation of that sequence of talks. We'll start shortly about this. Again, red book, and I remember red book was completed, but still we will refresh that in short, and also silver book which was not completed. So we will, I remember we were somewhere on contracts, disputes or something. I exactly don't remember. When we go back to study that silver book in part of contracts, we will understand better and will recall everything, because I also forget, as I was involved in my mishappening of accident in September. I don't want to detail that now, but and we will be back on that. And also I can say with gratitude that you people had patience, because I was not available for a couple of months. Now also I am not very recovered well, but I am trying to make some links, early morning time, because I am not able to walk. Still you can see I am not able to stand perfectly, though at that time I was in bed. Now at least I am not in bed. I can sit in chair and at least apply some stress and strain on my body anatomy. And we will see silver contract and white book also, but all those require certain understandings of these contract designations. So we have to understand what is engineer, what is contractor, and what is employer, and also nowadays very supplementary designation which is independent of all, and that is third party supervision or surveillance, or third party involvement, which is also very significant part, because everyone is paid by employer. That is indeed clear. Engineer is paid by employer, contractor is paid by employer, and also third party is paid by employer, but third party's responsibilities are entirely different. The scope of third party's job is all different. Neither it encroaches engineer's job, nor it encroaches contractor's job, but it supports employer to make sure that whatever contract documents, whatever design documents, and whatever system is applied on project, it only can be certified by third party independently that conformance has been made. And this is not detailed supervision or detailed parts assessment from inspection of stages of work, as well as from sections of documents, in a way you can say at random check, or you can say selected interval checks, which in audits can claim that work has been done in solve or in resonance to whatever has been demanded by all. Contractor has affected whatever was expected of it, and engineer has affected what was expected of it. And there is no room to support anybody in this. That's also true. Even if there's lapse from employer end, that can also be surveyed, that can also be audited in this. There is no bar to that. That audit is also very helpful if it is done. I think it should be done. Everyone is responsible everywhere. Engineer is also responsible, and if engineer is responsible, engineer's employer is also responsible because of decisions making issues. Sometimes engineer is not empowered to decide for something until employer decides. So if employer delays that decision, then comments can be made about that, and then final conclusion can come to lapse on part of employer without any consideration that I am paid by employer. Third party's duty is to reflect it on report that because payment was not made in time or policy decisions were delayed, so responsibility of this lapse goes to employer, and employer is advised to improve or to, or you can say whatever you can say, to bring to certain lines organizational authorities. That is very dangerous part, but that courage one third party should have. But it is unfortunate just major projects are done by governments, many in general in our country, and governments, governments are government jobs are controlled by officials, and no third party company or organization has any desire to have bad relations with these officers, and that's why I think third party, such system is a failure in our country. It's better if you do not use, don't waste money on this, because there is no practical meaning of its achievements if third party is hesitant to write against even employer or engineer. It's duty of third party to conduct audit of everyone, because when you conduct audit of contractors work, certainly something would go to employer also in that black mole, on that black scrutiny, and then employer, I'm sorry, engineer has also to share responsibility, and that engineer who can be called project engineer or by whatever designation you can call it, that person shall be or must be held responsible for that issue, and that's what we have to understand. So these four parties, three are linked parties, and one is encircling party, or you can say a party who has no direct relation to any of these. These are main lines of issues. So you can say employer representation is done by engineer legally but independently. That's one point. Technical controls, all controls of site are responsibility of engineer. Financial issues are not responsibility of engineer, because engineer can only sanction works done, payments. Engineer cannot change budget. Budget variation can be done only by employer. Yes, engineer has a right to make savings if engineer can make, but extravagances, engineer is not authorized until it is approved by employer, because it impacts budget, and employer is also restricted of budget variations because of financing institutions. There can be marginal differences, but if lot, then because might be employer has procured loan from banks, so that institutions come into play. So there is confinement, you can say, there is, you can say, hard pursuit in this case, and you can say contractors also cannot do something else other than what is provided on contract. So all parties are bound by their own strengths, by own regulatory movements, their own motions, and all are to be audited by, not all, I mean to say, whatever is expected of according to terms and conditions of TPC. These entities must be under umbrella of audit. That audit is not punitive, I'm not saying that, but that is just to make sure, just to support you, be assertive that whatever jobs were given to contractors and whatever jobs were given to engineer and whatever liabilities were to be shared by employer, all have been taken care of. That is more important than something else. But all should be in project interest. If project suffers because of either of them, there is no purpose served by third parties. If third parties cannot warn them in time, cannot notify them in time, you have to devise it now, you have to decide about it now, then purpose of third party surveillance is also lost. Third party is paid, it doesn't work free, it is duty to do it. but because of many reasons they don't do it. Third party is actually, you can say, quality party. It's a party to show and ensure that systems work, because contractor works also under systems, and that may be ISO system, and engineer also works under system, and employer too works under system. And those independent and individual systems have certain definitions which must be implemented, because employer has given job to contractor because of those criteria, that this employer, this contractor moves its business under this provision, and contractor accepted also due to the fact that employer undergoes it also. So in that case you can say everybody is bound by certain own systems, and systems organizational way cannot be encroached, cannot be interfered with, and it's responsibility of each of us. I'm not saying each of us, I mean to say each of these 3-4 parties to genuinely conduct their jobs, of course within certain tolerances. I'm not saying that, no, but professionally managed. That's what I say in this talk of civil engineering field, general designs and coordination. Construction organization, just I'm telling you, construction organization is contractors organization, or if you are not employing contractor, your own organization, you may call it in your terms departmental works or government works, and self people have to do it, means your staff has to do it, and you can engage workers from market and procure yourself of materials and do job. But it's not easy for everybody. For this you have to move here and here and here and here. Now this is very interesting at this stage, because this is very initial stage when you're talking of these titles, and these titles are not diminishing titles. These titles will keep on rising, and there will be so many titles followed by these titles. Like as I said, engineer, and he just says resident engineer, then says specialist engineer with resident engineer, and assisting engineer with resident engineer. Like this, there are so many more descriptions, contracting organizations, and also an employer as well, and 2 third-party system. Those would be working like that. Those would be taking care like that. And that's very important point here. We must be involved with. I'm not just running away. I want to take few more minutes because of though it's already more than 3 hours, and I came a little early today, so I said no problem for that. But now my construction talk and my this contract talks and field talks, sometimes you may say, oh, it's too long video, 3 hours something. Unfortunately, I cannot share some documents with you because of provisions on these videos. It's not my own studio, or I'm doing my own videos. I'm just using this live. Otherwise, if I have my own system, I can install camera and show you everything immediately. But I don't have that much source with me, so I'm using only Facebook Live. And when I want to share some document with you, or some, I then go for screen share, and when I go for a screen share, I cannot talk to you directly. That's the only restriction there. Otherwise, immediately I would have opened certain files. If I want to show this file, then I have to stop this video and to make another video for that file. That's inconvenience also still exists with Facebook. I tried it past, but I break my current video in that case. Running video is broken, and which is also a loss to me, because I have to make it again, and I forgot. But because in live you cannot remember what you saw, what you reflected last time, and what you spoke. I don't have any script also. I can read except something which I spoke from my book, nothing else. So you must realize problems that when you are on live you face. I don't know why Facebook people are not changing this provision that if document to document you can shift, or you can shift from vision to document, and further else there's so many ways, means there are so many ways to be improved, but that's not my control, and we have to depend on what medium we have. It's still we are lucky that we have some medium at least. We can take hours to talk, and for your information I'm telling you, so on this Facebook you can go and make 5 hours maximum videos. That's the main thing, you know. It's not simple amount, it's not very, you know, if you want to, if your signals are okay, if you want to do that 5 hours long talk you can make. And I tried to do that in past. I did many 5 hours talk, but I collapsed, and it now I'm gradually increasing my input to live. And it is hard, it's still hard for me because of winter. Let me see if something can be done better. And I also given the programs like, you know, Excel sheet and calculations on this. You can see my what we are. You can see in that. So, my dear friends, what I am now stating is that our continuation is of importance, and we will be continuing like this also. Title there was Civil Field Engineering, General and Designs, and we have talked something in that. And I'm talking construction now, construction and its organizations, as I'm just discussing. Then it will be communication and coordination, quantities and quality, and of course continuation of, you say, why should we run away from quality? In fact, we cannot run away from quality. Quality has to be complied with, otherwise we are in trouble. We go in trouble as contractors, employer, as well as engineer, because all we are responsible for quality. Even if you are employer, you cannot say engineer will take care of this, because ultimately it is your loss. If it's not achieved, it's your loss. And maybe engineer is not competent, or maybe you know, contractor is not competent, or professional contractor who can get a defeat, or you can say injury in your contract. So I will simply say that we have to be little smart in this case. We should be, and with that assumption, we should have little understanding of smartness. We should have also lust to learn, a desire to know more. Because my talks are very boring and very lengthy, but profession is like that. You cannot expect me to give you 10 minutes or 15 minutes talk. And if I talk on 10-15 minutes, I think I cannot even evolve, I cannot even constitute, I cannot even compose what I have to talk in 10 or 15 minutes. Because once you start talking or thinking something, a chain of sequences of thinking generate, then you have to talk about that in one direction and then go to other direction to talk about other thing. So that point is also very important to understand, to learn. So what I can say now, I leaves here. It's already 3 hours and about quarter. I mean 3 hours and a quarter, 15 or 18 minutes, 3:20 now it's 19. So I think we have learned something, we have conferred something of much use, because we have gone through various stages. We have talked about engineering, we talked about framing, we have talked about structures, we have talked about, you can say, general points, and we have to talk about the design, and also then partly construction that we have talked about. And we'll take up if time goes well. Maybe I cannot say anything with confirmation, but we may do well gradually and move further and further, and let us see how it works. I think it's time now that I should ask you for my leave, that I have to go, for it is now, I'm also tired because of this 3 hours talk, and I have to take my breakfast as well. Last time when I wasn't busy with you in other days, before my collapse. I used to talk up to 8 sometimes, but that stamina is down now. I think it's adequate, and I think I'm not getting any feedback from anyone. That is unfortunate. Either you reject me very well, you don't care for me, I ignore everything. Well, it's up to you. I'm not going to force you for anything. My duty is my job, my duty is my activity, and authority or rejection, that is yours. I am happy even if you reject. I am also happy if you accept. It's up to you. Everybody has different varying experiences in life, and this experience is also that. So with this, I think I should take your leave, and I hope it's a thank you very much. Hope you'll enjoy. Thanks a lot.